Starkid is another exciting time to learn about science. And our topic for today is what happens to matter when we are done using it. Of course, you know what matter is, right? Anything that has mass and occupies space, you have, examples of matter. Now, when you are done using matter, have you ever asked yourself what happens to it? When you eat that biscuit, what happens to the biscuit wrap? When you throw away banana peels on the ground, what happens to the peels? When your bottle gets broken and you trash it, what happens to that bottle? Or you have an old electronic, let's say you used to use a television set and daddy just replaced it with a new one. So what happens to the old one? Those things that you no longer consider useful to yourself, what happens to them? So that is what we'll be looking at today in our class. So I'll just briefly remind you of what matter is, and we have some examples there. When matter is no longer in use, it becomes waste, right? So matter after use, what happens? We often think that matter is only good for one thing. Yes, you buy matter for a particular purpose. Let's say bottled water. Now you are done drinking the water inside of the can is finished, and then you look at the can and say it's useless, there's no more water, you trash it. Somebody else could pick up that bottle and use it for so many things. He or she could use it for soap, pour soap, liquid soap in it and then sell, or put other things in it. Okay, so what happens to matter after you use it? Do you dispose them in a trash can like I do, like most people do? Of course, that is what we do. We trash them, put them in a trash can. But is that ideal? So let's see. Plastic bottle after use. What do? We trash it. Whereas it could be used or recycled to form other plastic materials. Do you know that? Do you know that you could melt a plastic bottle to make something like a plastic plate or a plastic spoon? That way, the plastic bottle that you consider useless becomes useful. True or false? Then, or do you reuse the plastic bottle for other uses? I remember once I used plastic bottles to raise seedlings. Yes, it was so beautiful. It was an idea I saw online and I did it. So, are your plastic bottles completely waste to you? Then, let's go further to look at what waste is. I have been mentioning waste for some time. What exactly is waste? It is any substance that is not needed at a particular time. Empty water cans, biscuit wraps, banana peels are examples of waste. In grouping waste, we can call them either refuse. Refuse means solid waste. Solid waste, your paper, yam peels, anything solid is refuse. Then sewage is liquid waste. Well, electronic waste are your old electronic materials, or outdated electronic materials that you no longer consider useful. Either they are outdated, or they are spoiled, or they are malfunctioning, anything you want to say. But as long as they are no longer in use and they are electronic materials, they are electronic waste, or what we call e-waste. Now, for the types of waste, we have basically two types, the biodegradable and the non-biodegradable. Every other type of waste is grouped under these two, whether it is organic waste or agricultural waste or whatever industrial waste, whatever waste, factory waste, whatever waste you want to call them, they are grouped into biodegradable or non-biodegradable waste. Now, what is a biodegradable waste? This group of waste can be broken down naturally and then turned back into soil. Examples, we have food scraps, paper towels, toilet papers, newspapers, junk mails. All these ones, they can easily rot in the soil and become soil themselves. Unlike non-biodegradable waste, right? So now in general, anything that is made from natural products can usually be easily broken down into soil and is therefore biodegradable. For the non-biodegradable waste, they are not easily broken down into soil. They pose danger to the environment, and examples are bottle, polythene bags, plastics, metals, name them. If you bury these types of waste, even if you go back there to check in next 10-15 years, the waste will still be there. It will not decay. So now let me ask you, the human body, when we die and are buried, we decay, right? So it means that the human body is biodegradable. So a dead body is a biodegradable waste. You agree? Yes. Any waste that easily decomposes to form soil is biodegradable. Let's go further to look at sorting waste. Yes, the idea of sorting waste came about when we found out that trashing or sort of waste together produces some harmful gases that pose threats to our health and the environment. So we decided to start sorting waste. Some scientists made research and decided to start sorting waste or disposing of waste in separate trash cans. Batteries should stay in one side because batteries are very, very harmful. They react with other materials to produce harmful chemicals. So glass on one side, batteries, organic waste on one side, and just like that. So sorting waste is the process of separating waste into different elements. Experts found out that disposing all types of waste together might lead to the production of harmful substances poisonous to the environment and to our health. So in disposing waste, what are the processes of disposing waste? First, you can dispose of waste in landfill sites. I don't know if you've seen a landfill site, right? I have seen one along Uruku area that exists. It's an open area. They just pour waste on the floor. Okay, so you can now go there, and usually those wastes are recycled or treated, so they don't pose threats or danger to the environment. So that's a landfill site. It is an area set aside by the government where people agree to dump waste. The incineration, you can burn your waste, although it is not a very good process of disposing of waste because it causes air pollution, but it is also another method of disposing of waste. Then animal feed. You can feed your waste to animals. Let's say you have leftover food. We have like plantain peels, yam peels. Your ruminant animals, goats, sheep, they can eat it, right? What about leftover rice, all those organic wastes? Your animals can eat them. The only danger here is that you have to make sure that there are no dangerous materials in this food, like needle, razor blade, wood, nails that will pose danger to the animals feeding on them. When we have manure, we can use waste to make manure. We'll bury them in the soil to form humus, right? Then burying, same process. Then rivers and seas. Oftentimes in the villages especially, waste is disposed of in rivers, believing that it flows. Rivers flow, so the river is expected to carry along their waste to other parts. Some wastes are eaten by fish, like feces, while others, they pose danger to the animals inside the river. Yes, it causes water pollution. It is not a good method of disposing of waste. Now, disposing waste by sorting. You can either sort into plastic, metal, paper, glass, organic, or battery, like I said earlier. The ideal way of treating waste is to recycle it. And recycling is the process of converting waste to new substances. There are 3 R's in recycling. We have the reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce means you have to reduce the way waste is being created. Anything that will produce waste, you reduce it. Try not to be wasteful. Alright, that's the first step. Then, even if waste is produced, reusing it is important. That's where the second step comes in. You reuse it. Don't just completely ignore or consider waste as useless. Think of other ways you could use that waste, that it could become useful to you. Alright? Then the last one is recycling it. When you use a material, process it, convert it to make another material. That is recycling. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the class and learned something new. Of course, I know you learned something because I have explained some very important points. So I want you to take down notes ask questions, and goodbye.